Did it work? I think so. One thing that is critical to hitting your business goals, that's what we're talking about today, everyone. I'm Tessa, and I am a marketing strategist at Ashford Digital, and I'm bringing in Tracy Taylor over at TNT Marketing, and we are talking all about something that's not super sexy, but is really important for your business, and that's a mid-year marketing review. And I know that most people, they don't want to go look at how they're doing on their goals, how close they're getting. But if you think about it, and you are a little bit off on your course to try to get somewhere, you can end up in a totally different place. And so we're coming to you today just to help you get realigned and make it fun and painless as possible and really help you to hit your goals at the end of the year. So how we are going to really, Tracy, how do you do that in your business? What do you recommend for your clients?
Well, so we start by asking a couple of big questions, and through social media, the biggest thing that I want to ask them is your product or service still relevant?
That's always a good one.
So it happens because if you say no, which oddly enough, we're going to just be really frank about it, through COVID, some people may have said no, or they say, right. I don't know. And so at that point, we have to shift into what can I stop selling or delivering, or how can I kind of maneuver something that I have to make it relevant again, to continue to go forth with your business. And that's good for the halfway mark. I mean, the first half of 2020, I think is, well, kind of been a train wreck.
Kind of been a train wreck.
I'll walk. Just stop. I will walk. But for a lot of business owners, they've turned it into something positive. And so I think that going forward for June through December, because really, I mean, on the social side, holy Toledo, we're going to be moving into holiday marketing sooner than later. And so this is a great time to say, okay, what can you do? What's going to be relevant for the next 6 months of the year? And this is what we have to look at. And this is how we kind of determine ROI. And a lot of people are going to say return on investment. But when it's marketing, I'm going to change that last word. It's return on involvement. Involvement. Bring you in the funnels and in any of the marketing strategies that you have, that is something super important. So it's return on involvement, and we get that to figure out what we need to do, what we need to increase or decrease as far as that is concerned.
Absolutely. And how you can look at what is working or not working in your services. Also, it's a matter of how much energy and effort do you have to put into that item to be able to get out that ROI, return on involvement. Like, is it something that's just wearing you out and you're not seeing the results that you need, that you really have to evaluate, is this the best area for my energy to go into? Because we have to be able to get to where we're going, right? We have to pick one focused goal. And we cannot roll. This is from Kai from Momentum Studio. She always talks about, getting to your goal, you have to roll your stone down a mountain and over to the other side. If you have your priorities too dispersed, your rock is not going to go anywhere. And what you don't realize is if you're not doing anything, you're actually taking an action. You might be even leaning backwards on your rock, and it's going to go the wrong way because you're not doing anything. So just take a moment to kind of figure out what is the true goal, and then how can you make that involvement better? Like Tracy was saying, does that mean you have to connect with your audience more? Does that mean more posts? Does it mean better posts on social? Does it mean offering something in a funnel? Right?
Up. Are you and how are you actively promoting your products and services? That's something that Tessa and I could probably both do a 20-minute free marketing strategy session with you and cover an abundance of things. And you would be surprised at what we unveil and unravel during that session, and how much what we both suggest we actually work together to do for you.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So one of the other things that I wanted to bring out, and that's more from a sales and marketing standpoint, Tracy's definitely going to cover social media and awareness, brand awareness. I'm going to talk more about the funnels or pages, even contact forms. If at this moment in the half year point, you can look at how, if your forms are actually submitting, some people, and it's scary, they come back to me and they're like, oh, I think something's wrong with my website, like in December. And I'm like, your forms have not been working since like January. So you can't tell that something's gone terribly wrong. So always, I mean, I recommend testing all your forms, funnels, anything where people need to get in touch with you once a month. But at minimum, guys, just do it right now and see what that experience is like for people. You may not even remember what you set up in the beginning of the year. So take a look at it, because everything you do from a social media standpoint, no matter how hard you're working to drive that traffic back to your website, if you don't have a way to close the deal, you're not going to be able to make it to your goal. So do your tests on your forms for sure. And then make sure that whatever you're doing in your social is, you have to have sales things in there. You cannot just put up pretty pictures and they're going to eventually work with you. So take a look at how often you've actually promoted your business or asked people to work with you. And it can be done in a non-sleazy way. We've done shows on that. You can do it with a lot of information and value, but definitely take a look at where you're at and how much you're asking people to participate or even just get on your list. So are you capturing, from the social media? Are they liking and following? Are you asking them to like your page?
Right? Are you doing it? And remember, we've talked about this before, and I want to interject with this because you're talking about selling. Selling is serving. Please stop thinking about it. You're not the pesky car sales guy. No, I hope not anyway. But most of us have products and services that are beneficial to business owners. And when that's the case, selling is serving, because you are helping to solve a problem that they have that can help their business grow. So that's super important.
Exactly. Perfect. And then you have some questions that you usually ask, and we're going to go into those in just a minute. So there's something really valuable that you can kind of ask yourself at the end. But before we dive into that, Tracy, do you have any other recommendations as far as what they should be looking at when they're looking at reports, like, or the back ends, like that they could see, oh gosh, there's a problem because I'm not seeing this?
So I want you to ask yourself two things before we get into these three questions, and they are magical questions. So take note, write them down. If you want more of a conversation with me, I'll go in on the backside and put how to get into in my calendar. One is your branding up to date and consistent? And the reason I say that is so many times we change logos or our photos, and you don't go back and you don't change them consistently. Like, I have people, and I say this all the time, but they say something about, oh my gosh, have you ever thought about cutting your hair? Yeah, I have. It's going to be really expensive for me to do it because I've branded myself with long hair. I'm like, it's just going to stay long for a while because of the process. Go get it cut, go take pictures, go change all the social channels, go send all new pictures to Tessa, where everywhere is on my website has to be changed because I speak of that. So I want to live that. The second thing I want you to ask yourself is, so far during 2020, what marketing strategies have you used and which ones of those have worked? And when you ask those questions, then we'll get it. When you answer the questions we've asked you today, then we'll ask the next three questions for yourself, and they all work very well together. And if you can answer them, then you're going to rock the second half of 2020.
Right. And I have to say on that, not only the social media side of as far as keeping your brand consistent and the website, but is your brand out of date?
Yes.
Like not just if you've changed your branding, but do you need to change your branding? Do you have a website that looks like it's from 1980?
Right. Google doesn't pick it up anymore because you have something in it or you don't have something on it, which we've got one of those mutual clients coming up soon because his website is no longer viewed by Google. It doesn't even pick it up anymore. So stuff like that is super important.
It's really funny because I just had a flashback. I started in web design in 95, and back in 80, it would have just been library websites. So I just had like this, why did I pick 1980? Okay, maybe like 2000. Does your website look like it's a 2000 website? Literally literally, I had a couple clients that came to me recently, and they look like old websites that were library websites, and they're like, I don't understand why it's not working. So guys, you can do a rebrand on your website. It's a lot cheaper than having to start from scratch. Now, I think that there's a lot to be said about rearranging and taking the time to rebuild a website that's really effective for you, because if your website is just telling people a whole bunch of information and not talking to their pain points, you're not going to hit your year-end goals either. So that's really important to take a look at how everything's flowing, and the numbers on the back end in Google Analytics. How many people have visited your website? Is anybody coming from social? All of that, we can do that assessment that help you with your mid-year review and tell you where the areas of opportunity are. For sure. So I know we only have a little bit. So Tracy, do you want to go into the three questions? And if you guys have any questions while we're on right now, go ahead and type in. At least let us know that you're here by typing #live, so we know that you're here.
Right. So after you've sat and listened and maybe taken notes and you've jotted a few things down, I want you to ask yourself, going forward for the next 6 months, what are you going to stop doing? So look at the things that you're doing that are not working, X them out and say, I'm done, I'm stopping. The next thing, I want you to take a yellow highlighter and I want you to highlight the notes that says, what am I going to start doing? So I want you to highlight that in yellow, because that's going to be a bright, bold color. Yellow is happy. And that's what we're going to go with. So then the next thing on your notes from today is I want you to take a green marker, because green means go. And let's do, what of the things that we have discussed am I going to continue doing? What is still working? What am I going to continue to press the gas pedal and move forward with that? So very easy. What am I going to stop, start, and continue? And if you can answer those 3 questions, we both would love to help you with any part of implementing that new strategy. Or if you're really confused, we can have a deeper conversation, anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, with either one or both of us, and help you move forward for the rest of 2020 with marketing your business. That's what we're here for.
Perfect. Well, I'm definitely going to edit those and make those polished, because they it did not come up. It's like error. StreamYard's having a little bit of an issue right now. So what are you going to stop? What are you going to start? And what are you going to see? It just doesn't like continue. I don't know why it won't put continue up. It's like you are not allowed to continue.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Continue. Okay, there we go. So guys, if you have any questions, please, again, put it in the chat so we can see. We'll answer any. I did have someone that asked a question, Tracy, that might be relevant to you. We do a lot of submissions for the Women's Network group. They can submit questions, and this one was about social media. And is there a favorite tool that you have for scheduling social media?
So absolutely. My favorite tool, and it really is it's primarily for Facebook. I know a lot of people use Edgar. A lot of people use Hootsuite. Those are not my favorites. It's just not something I like. But for Facebook scheduling, I adore and love wholeheartedly Post Planner. And part of the reason I love that is because I know the owner of it. I know the developer, and he's been amazing to me in the last 5 years with my business since I started using that platform. And if I have a question, I can literally email him directly and he answers me right back. Wow. So that says a lot to me. But the other thing I want to bring up with that is some third-party apps actually will kind of crush your organic reach on Facebook. Post Planner does not do that. Josh has an agreement with Facebook, and they play good together, is like I like to say. So Apple and Google are not really friends online. They kind of bash heads, but Post Planner and Facebook get along perfect. So I really, really love that platform, and they have some super great fees for if you're just managing yourself, but they're also very effective and costly for someone like me who is running an agency managing between 62 and 100 Facebook pages at a time. And as far as a conversation I heard earlier, I'm probably getting ready to increase it by about 10 or 15. So I love the fact that his plans don't break my bank. And I don't have to necessarily, have a big fee for my clients because I have to pay for that software. So it's super good. It's got content built in it. If you need a runabout with that, I'm happy to kind of coach you through it, but it's an amazing platform. Like I cannot speak highly enough of it.
Oh, that's awesome. We actually got a couple questions too. So I will, they're not showing up in StreamYard, so I can't put them on the screen, guys. But Odin Xavier, who is one of my marketing coaches and very, very good at what he does, he has a question in here. How much time does this mid-year review take? You know, we mentioned getting a return on participation, and what exactly would be expected of somebody coming in who's like green in the market. You know, what would they be expected to kind of do on a mid-year review? If you were helping them, I'm guessing.
I mean, I think depending on the business, really, I think we could do it anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, and it doesn't have to be consecutive. It would just be spending that, 45 minutes to an hour together, and then possibly running some stuff back and forth through email or maybe phone call. But you can really do it pretty timely. It doesn't have to take up a whole entire day. I mean, it can if you want to get that involved with it, but I think a lot of times it's just getting that refresher out there so that hey, I really need to focus on these 3 things, and maybe these 3 things can be pushed to January, and then I know what I'm going to start with for next year. So I would say you could do it in easily 1 to 3 years. Or 1 to 3 years, 1 to 3 hours.
Like, holy moly. Yeah, I think that's about accurate too, because it takes a little while to go look at the statistics maybe, and like just to kind of get an overall. Some people need to do this just in their business to look at what products are selling or services are selling really well. They haven't, you kind of do your thing. You're going through the year, and you don't look at truly where are the conversions happening. So I think it's important, and it might take a couple hours, but it goes faster if you have help. So if you're working with Tracy or myself to do that, it's definitely going to make it faster. So we also have John Miner on, who thank you so much for popping in, John. How do we effectively use all social media platforms? I'll let you take that, Tracy, and I have some ideas too.
One would be partnering with one or both of us, because it takes a ton of time. Secondly, it's having a really dedicated and good strategy. And third thing is that you're going to have to implement software. And if you're doing it by yourself, I would advise you to do some sort of time blocking, so you can say on this day, and then like, I know that I'm going to be on LinkedIn today. Some people, when they're doing their own, they only focus on LinkedIn 1 or 2 days a week. They do Facebook every day. It's kind of putting it in a time schedule so that you know that you have to dedicate that time. It's kind of like where Tessa and I do so much online networking. I know for a fact, if I don't tell myself on this day at this time, I'm going to get into this group and really work that group, it will go by and I won't do it. So for me, even as a social media manager, like all of my client stuff gets done first. I'm not going to lie. My stuff is like on the back end somewhere. So it's really important for me to spend time doing that and nurturing those platforms, because they will bring you business. I know that Tessa and I both have gotten some of our largest and best clients. That's the best word to use. Best clients from LinkedIn and online networking. So
absolutely. Yeah, it makes a huge difference to put in the time and energy and make sure that you are batching, but more than batching, like I do this a lot. I look at the SEO on Google, but there's actually a Chrome extension called Keywords Everywhere. So I am always thinking of what I can do that's actually going to literally match up with what somebody's searching for. So I go into Keywords Everywhere and look at how many people are going to be picking up on that topic. So if I'm going to post something on social media, it's going to be valuable to me. I'm definitely not just posting kind of haphazardly. I'm putting a lot of energy into content that's being developed. When you do really strategic content, like what we're doing right now with the mid-year review, if we take it to the next level and have some resources and worksheets, and then we take it to the next level after that, and maybe give people a little mini course, like if you build your content strategically, you can do one live and have that disperse out and be a slide share on LinkedIn. It can be an infographic. Like you can be very strategic and split it up into many pieces, and then use the scheduling tools that Tracy's talking about to send something out to, for me, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter are all the same size image for me. Twitter's a little bit off. It's a little bit different size image, but if you're really strategic about how you design the image, it's going to look good. Instagram square. So I do 2 different images.
Right.
I personally do. Some people are okay with it being square on the other channels. I like to have the rectangle, or I
I
do
do
both.
both.
Yeah,
I
I
do
do both
both.
at times. But one thing can actually turn into so many different pieces, and
Right.
that's where what we do as a company. That's like the dispersing of it into a
Mhm.
blog or a podcast or
Yep.
a video, the video that's going to go on your blog. Like it literally can take you one session recording with me once a week, and then we have 16 or so pieces.
Right.
So
We
just
repurpose.
yeah, you can repurpose, and then schedule
Yes.
with them
Yes.
and let people like Tracy who really can make those pieces of content into, good looking posts and things that are engaging, like asking questions
That
like,
works.
how's your review going? Or how long did it take you? Right. So I'm glad you asked that question, John. That was great. I also use Agora Pulse occasionally for clients. So some clients are on different platforms.
Mhm.
What I really love about Agora Pulse is that it does the listening, which is more about what's your brand, what are people saying about your brand out there,
Mhm.
and who can you align with that's talking about your
Right.
topic.
That's the thing.
Because a lot of my base, they have things that they can't talk about until it's ready to be launched.
Mhm.
And so they have to be a little ambiguous and talk more on topics. So I find it really helpful. Or Google Alerts to see if anybody's posting anything out there
Right.
about your topic. So those are
Right.
just a couple little things. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I don't see any more comments on my feed. But I do see that we had a couple people in that popped in. Mike, Scott, Francisco, Judith, Paul, Fitzgerald. Thank you so much.
Meg,
Brian.
and Rita. But I did want to add one little quick part to that, Tessa. When we talk about repurposing, I really want to be clear and say this because I've watched it happen and I do it very strategically with myself and with all of my clients. Please, for the love of all things holy, don't put the exact same post out across all of your platforms at the exact same time. And I know people are like, but it's easier that way. Okay, but look. So I run a marketing agency. I run a social media marketing agency. And here's what happens. I bounce in the same time frame from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn. If I see your name and your question or your comment 3 times in a row at 9 a.m., by 4 p.m., I have forgotten it. But what if I'm on LinkedIn 14 more times during the day? I need to see your stuff in waves at a different time so that I go, oh, and that's embedded in my head. I mean, the average person needs to see something anywhere from 8 to 10 times for it to get to them subconsciously. So utilize that opportunity with Facebook, with LinkedIn, with Twitter, with Instagram, with all the things all the time, with video, with YouTube. Get your message out there, but just be very strategic about it. Because if you put it out there at the same time everywhere, it goes nowhere. Really. I hate to say that, but it does.
It's true. And the social, what we're talking about for the planners, you can actually take the other channels and move them around the calendar. You could say to post it on a different day, even. I try to keep mine in the same day so that if they're sort of, but again, not all at the same time. And then you can customize the message for different audiences. Like Instagram is a tremendously younger audience, and it's going to be different, totally different engagement than over on Facebook or Twitter. Obviously, they're all very different. So putting in the messaging that applies to that platform is pretty important. Now, I know that sounds like it's a lot, but if you're doing it inside of some of these planners, you just go in and tweak the other ones. You can put one post, right? And then you just say, oh, never mind, this one's going to be like this, and I'm going to change it up here and move it around. So it doesn't have to take a long time.
Well, let's break it down. Let's give one quick example before we hop off. But so I was gone yesterday out of town. I went to see my dad just an hour and a half away. They're camping. I don't need the stress of not posting for clients. I literally sat up yesterday morning from 6:30 until about 8:15, and I scheduled out for all of my clients for 3, if not 4 posts for the day, and I got in the car and left. So you can very much do it and take care of yourself and give you, that time off. Sometimes that's how I'm able to unplug and just put the phone down. But if you utilize a scheduler, exactly, it doesn't take that long. And if you're only doing your own business, maybe you sit down and do 2 or 3 days at a time. And if you have a platform that's super important to you and that's your growth platform, so maybe it's one of the what am I going to start doing this next 6 months? Maybe you're really good at Facebook, but you need to get on LinkedIn, or you're really good at Instagram, but you need to transfer that over into another platform. Utilize a scheduler for just that platform and help yourself out, and sit down and say, I'm going to give 1 hour and I'm going to schedule out as much as I can. And then you can literally walk away from it and reap the benefits of it being on autopilot. That's the joy of this stuff.
Right. Because I think people tend to get on the social media and get sucked in. That's me. I hop in and I'm trying to engage, but engagement can turn into, and you should be engaging in posts and liking other people's things and sharing it. But that's a different time frame for me. I cannot engage and schedule in the same session, or else I get distracted. And then I get to the end and I'm like, what did I do for the last 3 hours? Like, how did I just nothing? Yes. Exactly.
Nothing. Big goose egg. I've got nothing done but play and talk to my friends. That's it. Nothing.
So give yourself some time, like separate posting from engagement time. And that way you don't get sucked into the black hole of social media.
Right. No, because, and it is a black hole, but it's a good black hole and it's good for your business, but be very easy. I am really bad about when I very first get to the office, I could spend an hour, if not 2 hours, on just LinkedIn. And so sometimes I have to, like, I feel like I need to set an egg timer, like with my kids when they were little, and be like, you have 20 minutes to play and then you're going to clean your room. I literally need an egg timer first thing in the morning, because that's when I just want to, that's my quiet time. And next thing you know, I'm like, I just lost. I was going to do all these things and I didn't get any of them done. So,
right. Well, guys, we're here every Wednesday and at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So a couple of big things that I know we're going to be bringing to you. There's some cool features that have changed on Facebook and across Instagram, Facebook, Instagram. There's some new meeting opportunities and everything. We have a couple other topics that we're going to cover with you, but let us know in the chat. Just let us know what you guys want to learn about as far as marketing, so that we can bring you guys some valuable information. If it's not valuable, it's one of our, we need to change or stop. So we want to continue doing this, and we want to know if it's good for you guys. So thank you so much for being here, and we will see you guys all next week. Bye.
See you later.